We are still 2 weeks from the start of the USL playoffs, but a lot of games are starting to have that playoff feel, and that's what we have here tonight as the Pittsburgh Riverhounds visit Loudoun United. Happy to have you with us on ESPN Plus alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. A quick look at the standings shows you why this game has that playoff feel. Pittsburgh and Loudoun on opposite sides of that playoff line right now. 1 point separating 7th down to 10th coming into play here tonight. And Ricky, nothing separated these two teams when they met to a 1-1 draw back in July.
It was a fantastic match in Pittsburgh. When you look at this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side, that has grown as well. Robbie Mertz gets the opening goal to take the 1-0 lead, and Loudoun finds a way through Wesley Leggett to draw 1-1. But both of these teams have grown. Pittsburgh Riverhounds only lost once in their last 11. For Loudoun United, they shifted back into a 3-back system, so now they're a little bit more attack-minded. The playoff push is here, and it's alive. Sets up for an intriguing matchup.
And if this Loudoun United team is going to make the postseason for the first time in club history, you anticipate Zach Ryan playing a role. He leads the way with 10 goals, but he is currently riding a 6-game goalless drought.
I think he's going to be motivated to get on the score sheet here today. 10 goals on the season, but still a little bit underrated in USL Championship. Can do a little bit of everything in his game, whether it's dropping down into the hole. But I do think for this game, Ryan Martin wants him to say hi and trying to get on the end of things. What does the service look like against him, and how clinical can he be in front of net? Zach Ryan needs to be massive for Loudoun United.
And Edward Kizza, Berton Jacquesin have been massive for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds ever since Jacquesin joined on loan from Real Monarchs back on September 7th. These two combined have been lights out.
Their balance and the understanding in such a short amount of time has been really impressive. One understands if I drop down and be part of the build, the other one has to step up a little bit higher. They're really comfortable in the pocket, really comfortable in front of net. Combined in a fantastic goal last time out, expect them to be full of confidence. 7 combined goals, 2 assists for Jacquesin, a 3-1-1 record for Pittsburgh since those two joined forces. Well, it's not really been much of a rivalry historically between Pittsburgh and Loudoun. 14 previous meetings, 12 previous Pittsburgh victories. Can Loudoun make a statement at home tonight in the quest for their first ever playoff appearance? It's Pittsburgh and Loudoun next.
DC News Now, bigger and only getting better.
Join us as we welcome Susan Tran to the DC News Now team.
Decades of journalism experience, a steadfast commitment to community, and an energy we can't wait for.
Susan Tran joins DC News Now, super serving the DMV with Susan Tran at the anchor desk.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on DC News Now.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Gas prices got you fuming? No need to get heated. Save time and money with Metro. Ride, save, explore. Metro. Make your trip monumental. Sightsee through DC without overspending on gas and ride shares. Experience DC the local way. Ride, save, explore. Metro.
DC News Now is only getting bigger.
We're taking over the DMV with a regional approach to news that fits your needs better than anyone else.
With multi-state traffic patterns, we're giving you a narration that really helps you get around.
Giving you a larger scope of the area so you're better informed of incoming weather. Because if it's raining in Chantilly, it's probably not raining in Bethesda. Yet.
DC News Now.
The station in the know, in the community.
And covering more ground than anyone in the DMV.
Ready to get things going here on Fan Appreciation Night at Segra Field in Leesburg, Virginia. A look at the starting lineups for both Loudoun and Pittsburgh. And Ricky, there's no changes to the 11 for Loudoun from last week's game, which Ryan Martin said was his best 11 available.
A lot of talent for Ryan Martin. You're looking at this back for your Erlinson, Hughes, Learman. Very good 1v1 defenders, but you want them to stay compact and keep everything in front of them. McCabe and Skundrich. McCabe might drop in a little bit deeper, so Skundrich has the freedom to go and join the attack, and the width is going to come from Aua and Tingy. Look for their work rate on both sides of the ball to supply Ryan Martin. up front.
And again, with everybody who's available, this is the lineup that Ryan Martin says would start if a playoff game were to happen tonight. On the other side for Pittsburgh, no changes needed up top with Jacquesson and Kiza. At the back, they're very, very tight and have been the best defensive team all around the league all season.
Griffin and Walty, they're balanced in between the two. Walty's a little bit stay-at-home, more defensive-minded. So Danny Griffin, he's actually been more attack-minded underneath Robbie Mertz, who's really came alive over the last couple games for Bob. Look for Robbie Mertz to combine with Jacquesson, Kiza. That front three, how good can they be? And how quickly can they get into tempo?
We're ready to get things going here at Segra Field. Alejo Kalume, the referee, in black. It's Loudoun in the white from left to right. Pittsburgh in the yellow from right to left. We are going to have a tremendous amount of flip-flopping in the standings as the day goes along. But for now, it's Pittsburgh in 8th and Loudoun in 9th as we kick things off. Glad to have you with us on ESPN Plus with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. 1 point separating at the moment 7th and 10th. There is a very, very convoluted scenario in which the winner of today's game could possibly clinch a playoff spot come the end of the weekend, but it cannot mathematically happen by the time our game is done, and it probably won't mathematically happen, period, so we'll spare you the granular detail, but that just goes to show what a win in this game would do for either of these two teams who both come in on 42 points. Here's Abukora. Ahead for Zach Ryan. Have to get him involved early and often. These last two matches for Loudoun, 0-0 draw against Rhode Island on a night where they had a lot of chances, and then a 1-0 loss against Indy. So goalless in back-to-back games, 1 point from a possible 6. It leaves them in this precarious position, and they need to get Zach Ryan involved early and often.
I think his relationship with Abukora is going to be really interesting because Zach Ryan, with the 10 goals that he has in 2024, he's going to require a lot of attention. So Abukora, what does his movement look like? The spaces that he picks up, he can be the X factor for this Loudoun United side.
Keegan Tingy, you're already seeing it just 90 seconds in. Pittsburgh hasn't touched the ball yet. That's something we expect to be a theme. Bob Lilly admitted to us that they're hoping for 40% possession. He said if we're at around 40, it plays into our hands. We know Loudoun's going to keep the ball. If it dips down to a position where we only have about 30% of the ball, we're going to be in trouble. So they know they won't see much of it, but they have to limit just how much that advantage tilts Loudoun's way.
Well, something that you and I as well, Joe, saw against Charleston Battery, right? They dropped into a mid to low block and try to catch this side out in a counter-attacking opportunity. So you're looking at Kizzy, you're looking at Jacquesson for moments like this to turn their defense into offense extremely quick.
About 2 minutes in now for the first time that we actually get to see Pittsburgh try and string a pass together, and it's just that one lofted over the top by Hogan and given right back to Keegan Hughes. Bob Lilly's so proud of his group just to get to this point after picking up at the early portion of the season just 15 points for the first 18 games. Had a team meeting, set the target point total of 48. That's what they felt would get them in. If they win their last 2 games, they hit that target, they get in. They control their destiny in that regard here. It has been a tale of 2 halves of the season for Pittsburgh. Even if they fall just short, a lot to be proud of. Maybe it was a case of just digging a hole that was too deep early on, but they are right here and in it. So Loudoun, at one point it seemed, the way the form was going, that it was almost a foregone conclusion. This would be the first time they ever made the postseason. They've struggled a bit more over the last couple of months. And when I say struggled, they've been about 500. They haven't been poor, at least not based on the standards from previous years. They've been about 500, but that's allowed other teams to catch up, including this Pittsburgh team, where they now have to scrap here in the last couple of weeks.
Just look at the last 5 for this Loudoun United side. 1 win, 2 losses, and 2 draws. As for Pittsburgh Riverhounds, 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. So it tells you kind of the different directions that both of these clubs are going into at this moment in time.
Giannis Learman. Back line of Loudoun this year has been transformed, and Ryan Martin really chalks that up to just having consistency for the first time in recent years. Another instance where it's the same back line, the same goalkeeper. It's helped them get to this position where they are a tough team to play through, and that was never really the case for Loudoun. So on a day where chances and goals are going to be at a premium, and traditionally that favors a Bob Lilly coach side, and I mean, year after year, you plug and play a different goalkeeper, that goalkeeper's probably winning the Golden Glove Award for the lowest goals against average. Loudoun not too shabby in their own right this year. Hugo Faroux, a touch over 1, his goals against average. It's back to Faroux. It's an adventure when he has the ball at his feet, however, despite how good he's been in terms of shot stopping. There's no trouble there, but Loudoun dies in the midfield. Walty recovers.
And those are moments that if you are Loudoun United, you draw this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side out of their defensive shell. So how quickly can you be at breaking through those lines, finding Abukora, finding Zach Ryan, Florian Falo as well. You need to be a little bit cleaner within this first 6 minutes here for the home side.
Ryan Martin already having a chat with the 4th official. Not sure what that could have been about already. Mertz through. Jockeson drives it across, nobody there. They're down back behind the play for Loudoun. Tommy McCabe just on the follow through from that Jockeson cross. Seemed like he got the studs on Jockeson's left boot. McCabe has been the model of consistency this year for Loudoun, started every game.
A little bit of follow through from Jockeson that catches McCabe. He's a player that if you are Ryan Martin, you cannot afford to lose. Like you said, Joe, massively important what he does on and off the ball. Security, simple, keeps the game moving on the ball, but off the ball as well. Clogs passing lanes. He's been a fantastic addition to Ryan Martin and Loudoun United, and a big part of their success thus far.
Jacob Erlandson will get it back into play. We go back a couple of matches to that 1-0 defeat at home against Indy 11. It was an interesting situation for Loudoun. They were coming in on just 3 days rest, so an awkward Saturday, Tuesday turnaround. But that really just proved what the best 11 was in Ryan Martin's mind. He played his best 11 on the weekend, had to rotate a bit in that Indy 11 game, came back with the same 11 last game and now today. And as part of our conversation with him, if the playoffs started tomorrow, do you know your 11, and is it the 11 you just put out there? And it was a very simple yes. So it's interesting, as some teams maybe are still weighing position here, position there this time of the year. Ryan Martin knows who his best 11 are and puts them out there in what is essentially a must-win game. Split through now for Walty, and to bend it ahead, and no trouble for Hugo Faroux. And when I say must-win, again, it's not necessarily a must-win for these teams, but you just do some quick math looking at the standings, and you've got the 43-point North Carolina side coming into this game here. Then it was 42 for Pittsburgh, 42 for Loudoun, 42 for Birmingham. Then you could dive into tiebreakers. Then you have to remember that you've got Hartford on 40 points, but they have a game in hand on all those teams above them. If you lose now, either of these teams tonight, your maximum points remaining is just 45, and that might not be enough even if you get it because of how crowded it is. So neither of these teams are going to be eliminated with a loss today. Neither of these teams probably would clinch a spot with a win today, but obviously a win in this one is going to put maybe one foot into the postseason, if not both, depending on how things shake out elsewhere in the league. Abukora picks it up, looking through for Zach Ryan, playing off the shoulder of Pat Hogan, but rescued by Osimanu.
Fantastic reading of the play from Osimanu. Hogan gets caught out of position a little bit too high, so Zach Ryan really clever, cuts back across where he came from. Even better defending and flawless in his positioning. Osimanu, moments like that, how compact can that back three be for the Riverhounds? Because that is a play that you cannot afford to lose. Zach Ryan, especially in your attacking third.
Tingy bent the ball in. He had a wide open Skundrich stepping up. Pittsburgh lost sight of him in his run out of the midfield. it's come and gone here at Seger Field. Fan appreciation night for the Loudoun faithful. Really good crowd on hand. Fireworks to come afterwards, but really what they're most hoping for, aside from a great show post-match, is a great show in between the opening and closing whistles. Again, a club that has not made the postseason in USL Championship. A win today to really put them in position to finally check that box. Ryan Martin communicated that to the group. They're all well aware, even though for the most part all these players are new to the club this year, just a couple of holdovers from last year. He was able to convey that history and the meaning to this group of making the postseason. They're all bought in, and they know it's right there for the taking. They know it won't be easy against these Riverhounds.
You're going to see a lot of this throughout this match. Like you mentioned, Joe, Loudoun on the ball. Pittsburgh very comfortable in their defensive structure. So if you are Ryan Martin, the message to your side is you need to play simply. You need to keep the ball moving and be really decisive, especially the higher up the field you get. So Abukora, his movement is going to be crucial. And sometimes making those selfless runs to open up a passing lane to Zach Ryan. In situations just like this, slowing the game down, getting your big bodies higher up the field can really put some pressure on Eric Dick and that back line.
And we just had North Carolina take a 1-0 lead on the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So North Carolina in the live table will go to 45. We'll continue to update you there. That game will go final right around the time that we get to halftime. So once these teams get into the locker room, they'll know a bit more of the playoff picture. Birmingham kicked off as well. Hartford later. Excuse me, I had that backwards. Hartford kicked off moments ago. Birmingham coming up at 7 Eastern against Indy. Things to keep an eye on in the duration of this one here between Loudoun and Pittsburgh. McCabe goes short for Velo. Velo floats it, and line headed back across frame. Tingy's there and puts it wide. Something off the training ground, very slow developing, but Pittsburgh never recognized, and Tingy had a chance.
Talked about the importance of set pieces. Last time these two teams met, they split the points 1-1. Not a lot of opportunities. So when you do get the ability to whip the ball in a dangerous area, how effective can you be? You change the angle right off the training ground for Ryan Martin, and almost Tingy gets on the opening goal for Loudoun United. It's a great ball.
Overlap comes up the right side into space, fed across toward Kiz. The flag did stay down as Walty trying to play it through. Contact there. Pittsburgh wants the free kick, and they get it. So you just saw Loudoun with a chance at the other end. Now it's Pittsburgh's turn on a day where set pieces will come at a premium.
The second time in about 2 minutes that Erlinson has been beat. First, it's with his positioning. To take a look at this set piece from Loudoun United, I think there's a little bit too much air underneath this ball from Florian Velo, but Keegan Tingy, no one steps up to him. And in the end, I do think Super and Osimano does just enough to throw him off, unable to make clean contact here, but Robbie Mertz on this ball.
3 goals, 3 assists on the season for Robbie Mertz. Certainly will be a service and not a shot from here. Mertz whips it in. Defensive header flicked away by McCabe.
Game night on DC News Now with Derek Forrest, Brandy Flores, Alex Flow, and Jake Ron. Game night, the only 7-day-a-week sports show tonight at 11 on DC News Now.
Almost at the quarter-hour mark here in Leesburg, Virginia. Loudoun United hosting the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Essentially a playoff game. Neither team will be eliminated, but in the grand scheme of things, and both coaches went as far as saying this much, Ryan Martin for Loudoun and Bob Lilly for Pittsburgh, that this is essentially a playoff game, the first of the season for both of these two teams. Hoping to get into the actual playoffs, of course, 2 weeks from now, beginning in USL Championship. Running behind from Jacqueson. Bertrand Jacqueson looking through for Mertz. Jacqueson gets back to it. Still Jacqueson. And he earns a corner for Pittsburgh. Continues to provide a spark for the Riverhounds. 4 goals, 2 assists in his 5 starts coming in.
Fantastic ball in from Super, but if you're Erlinson, you cannot get beat that easily. A ball over the top, just direct your body position. You're just far too wide. You need to stay compact with Learman, especially against a player like Jacqueson that's just so clever with his movement. Likes to play up the blind side. Good recovery in the end from Hughes. But it's the second time that Erlinson has been caught out of position, excuse me. You need to stay compact. You have to drop in a little bit deeper to make that line of 5.
Low-driven ball. There's colliding there for the Riverhounds. It was Suber who had a chance at it. Back out now to Mertz. And Mertz will be able to do it again from the corner. Still looking for their first shot, the Riverhounds. Only seen 35% of the ball. We noted earlier that Bob Lilly admitted they wouldn't see much of the ball, but need to keep that number close to just 40% of the possession. If it dips down around 30, that's too much of an advantage for Loudoun. They're comfortable without the ball, but to a certain point. It's at 35 right now, sitting between his 2 key numbers. From the corner, headed away by Hughes. Abukora wants to run, he finds Zach Ryan. Advantage will be played. Abukora's through. I think he was on his own side of midfield, but the flag comes up. Bang, bang play. We'll have to take a look at it. Abukora felt like he was in, so too did Ryan Martin. It was just a question of whether or not he was on his own side of midfield.
This is exactly how Pittsburgh Riverhounds get the opening goal against Charleston Battery. Is he onside?
Nope. Just across midfield.
Off. And to be very clear, you cannot be offside when you start your run in your defensive half. And that is why Abukora about a yard beyond that midfield line. That's why he gets called offside. So close for Loudoun United to get the opening goal.
Here's Kizza now the other way for the Riverhounds. Still Kizza. Well done by Keegan Tingy not to concede the corner. If that's played 1 stride sooner, with Abukora going at full speed, he's in alone.
Look at it the other way. If you're Bob Lilly, you have to be extremely frustrated that you even get that close to be broken down on your attacking set piece. You always want to have a numerical advantage when you're in possession. And if you can't win the initial ball, you have to foul the player. Bring down Tommy McCabe, bring down Zach Ryan to slow that transitional moment. You don't do that, you get bailed out by a yard for Abukora.
That's where Tulsa's taken an early 1-0 lead on Hartford. That is good news for both of these 2 teams. Keep those points in the Western Conference with Tulsa rather than seeing them in the East in this tight race. Still 1-0 North Carolina. Here's Skundrich. And it's Drew Skundrich curling a ball. It's twice he's tried that now. It's twice it's been just long, but it's something they're trying to exploit with Ryan in behind.
Really clever for Ryan Martin, what Loudoun United is trying to do, especially when they're building out. Tingy's going to push high. Skundrich is going to pop over to this right-hand side, and all trying to draw out Danny Griffin and Jackson Walty. As this ball comes to the right-hand side, notice how Florian Velo tries to take a central location underneath Zach Ryan. We talked with Ryan Martin ahead of this match, and that's the pocket of space that he wanted to try to exploit. He wants Abukora, he wants Florian Velo to be a little bit more central underneath their star striker.
Walty and Griffin were not on the same page there. They both thought the other was going to get it. Fortunately for Pittsburgh, still gets through for Griffin. Starting to grow into this a bit more now, Pittsburgh, after the early wave from Loudoun. Griffin. Trying to get past one man too many, and just settles it back now. It's Hogan. Osamanu. 28th start of the season for Osamanu. That back line has been consistent for the Riverhounds. Biasi with 27 starts, Hogan with 21, Suber with 24, Blackstock with 24. Year over year, Bob Lilly known to tinker with the lineup week to week, and especially over the long haul of the season. It's rare to see this level of consistency from a back line. This from a back line under Bob Lilly, I should clarify. Seeing this consistency this year again, big contributing factor to why they've been so good defensively. Eric Dick in goal, a .75 goals against average coming in. His head and shoulders above the rest of the pack in the Golden Glove race in USL Championship, the lowest goals against average for a goalkeeper. We've seen it through 20 minutes already, Ricky, that there's periods of frantic end-to-end action. There's periods of this waiting around and trying to bait the other team into something. It's going to be this game of cat and mouse, this chess match the whole way between these two teams with so much at stake. It's just going to be a matter of capitalizing on one of those moments when they present themselves. You and I were talking off air, and I do think this game comes down to one play in either box. Whether it's a silly mistake, a set piece, or someone just producing a little bit of magic, especially with how tight the table is right around the playoff line, the importance of this 3 points. Ryan Martin mentioned to us on our conversation with him, saying we've seen teams being a little bit more pragmatic, a little bit more defensive-minded, not trying to concede as many goals. But we're going to go at them. We're going to try to test this Pittsburgh Riverhound side. And through 20 minutes, we've seen them wanting to play. Watch out. Given away by Faroux. Griffin to the end line, driven again toward Mertz. Mentioned it earlier, Faroux sometimes an adventure with the ball at his feet. Terrific shot stopper, but that mistake out of the back could cost them at some point. Hasn't yet here. Still alive though, this attack for Pittsburgh. It's over the bar, and you can see the frustration from Faroux kicking his post once that play finally died. Especially when you do have a lot of the ball for Loudoun United. Cannot get complacent. Nice little swivel the hips here from Biasi. He's a player that has shown he can produce a little bit of an attacking threat on that right-hand side. Does well to create his own space just up and over the crossbar. It's interesting so far, Riverhounds with the wingbacks flip. Typically expect Blackstock right, Biasi left, been the opposite so far. What plays into that for Bob Lilly? Is it more a case of an attacking matchup he wants to exploit, or more a case of just a more favorable defensive matchup? Could really go either way with these two teams in the similar shape, both using the wing backs. Notice again how Skundrich just pulls out this right-hand side. So the balance and the understanding of Danny Griffin and Jackson Walty, the two center midfielders for the Riverhounds, needs to be spot on. As one goes in and engages with the ball a little bit higher, the other one needs to drop in and provide a little bit of an anchor. Free kick on the way for Loudoun, and it's going to be the first card of the match. I think make that two, actually. It's for Biasi for the initial infraction, and then Awuah for the extracurriculars. And it starts with Florian Velo, just waiting for Awuah to come and make a play. Stuber catches him a little bit late, and there's frustration. You see it right there, right in front of our center referee. Biasi, Awuah, both in the book. And actually, sorry, it'll be Suber for the foul, not Biasi, and Awuah for the little exchange they had. Just Awuah for that exchange afterwards. Suber for the initial foul. So 2 yellows, Suber for Pittsburgh, Awuah for Loudoun. Similar position here on the free kick for Loudoun as the opportunity they created earlier. It was that short pass over to Velo, and then he floated it into the end line to be headed back centrally. See if they try the same thing or if they have something else cooked up here. Tawakura standing over it. Driven ball this time. Handed away by Mertz. Jacqueson. all the way back for Farouk. Still just one shot apiece, 25 minutes in. For Bob Lilly, he'd be happy to know that possession is 60-40. The key number of 40 that he felt they would need in this one. It's interesting to hear a coach talk about possession in that way. You and I will always talk about it, Ricky, that it's not really a matter of the number of possession, it's a matter of what you do with it. So it was interesting to hear Bob Lilly so specific about getting to at least 40. It's okay to let Loudoun have some control, but not too much control, just based on the way they play and match up stylistically. So he's happy so far with that, but has to be concerned about this attack brewing for Loudoun. Tingy. Skundrich slows it down. Learman. Erlinson. Abukora in the pocket. And his pocket picked by Walty.
Do so well to break the initial pressure. So you want to continue with that positive mindset from Loudoun United.
Tingy squares it up, loose in front, Abukora. Nudged from behind by Walty, and it's out for a goal kick.
I think he's going to be the key for this Loudoun United side to break through this Riverhounds back line, because Zach Ryan, he's going to stay like for like with Hogan, Osamano, and Suber. So now the secondary action is going to be really important. The late run out of midfield, Jackson Walty does just enough. And like you mentioned, a little drop of the shoulder to create a little bit of contact to throw him off, but that's what you want from an attacking player. Near post gets occupied by your number 9, so you need a midfielder to join the attack.
Another near miscue at the back for Loudoun. Just keep circling back to that point, and it's a very tight game. You cannot have those mistakes or near mistakes in that dangerous area of the field. That could be the difference in the points today, and the points today, given the landscape of the table, could be the difference between making and not making the playoffs. So I know you can say the same thing about a game that might have happened back in May, but right, wrong, or indifferent, the games at the end of the year are going to be put under a much stronger microscope. In the aftermath of both Hurricanes Helene and Milton, the USL has partnered with United Way Suncoast to help the Tampa Bay area recover from the devastation the storm left behind. To learn how you can get involved, scan the QR code or visit www.uslsoccer.com/Milton to ensure individuals and families have access to the resources they need to recover. As well, aside from the real life aspect of all of that going on in the Tampa Bay area, what it obviously means for the sporting aspect of it, and Tampa Bay displaced, and other coaches taking note of that. As it's played over the top here, Abukora lets it go, Skundrich, Tingy, and it's going to be out for a corner here for Loudoun, but Bob Lilly wanted to make sure he got it in there to just give Tampa Bay a lot of credit in our conversation this week. The adversity they're going through from a personal and sporting perspective to be in this position. He just wanted to give that tip of the cap, and our thoughts, prayers with them all as well. This is an IBEW Local 26 corner kick for Loudoun United. IBEW Local 26, empower your future. Awua comes all the way across to take it. Swinger coming with the left foot. 4 assists on the season for Awua. Awua goes edge of the area, read well by Pittsburgh. Kept alive now by Hughes. And they'll do it again. Another IBEW Local 26 corner kick.
Need to be really careful if you are this home side. You do not want to try to overcomplicate any set pieces, because that can leave you vulnerable going back the other way. Give credit to Tommy McCabe, because Danny Griffin reads this the whole way. I will not be surprised if we see Abukora try to whip this in right around that near post area with those 3 center backs crashing.
Bukora couldn't get it past the first man, near side of the 6. Up into the air from Skundrich. Pinballing around. Pittsburgh trying to get it clear. They can't, but it comes all the way through for Eric Dick. Pittsburgh coming off a 2-0 victory over Charleston. It was not a full strength Charleston. Bob Lilly quick to point to that and didn't want to diminish his own team's victory, but wanted to make sure people put it in perspective that, hey, this was not a normal Charleston Battery lineup. We'll gladly take the 3 points, but don't start spinning these narratives of, oh, Pittsburgh can beat the number 2 team. They could beat anybody. Through toward Kizza, and he's unable to keep it in. While they do think they can beat anybody, he didn't want that narrative to get out of hand after that game last week against Charleston. And on the flip side, looking ahead at the schedule now here as Loudoun goes ahead and finishes the season, he didn't want people to look at it and say, oh, if Loudoun drops the points here against Pittsburgh, it's done and dusted for the Riverhounds, because Loudoun has Charleston, big bad Charleston next, because it could be the same thing where you have Ben Pierman in that group resting players. So just because a certain team name is there next for you on the schedule or you're down the stretch doesn't mean it's going to be what that team's been all year. Pittsburgh learned that last week. That's why they really put in the emphasis on these 3 points. They know that Loudoun might have an easier look possibly next week against a resting Charleston, perhaps.
It's the second time now that Loudoun has done very well to break through that first line of pressure, but just unable to connect that second pass. Good strength shown there from Jackson.
Still with it.
There's not many times that you see this Riverhound side get out of shape. And Erlinson having a really difficult time dealing with the movement and the combination between Biafsi and Jackson. He's getting caught out of position time after time. Just a bit slow. There's no need to go into that challenge. And if you do go with that challenge, you need to go with your left foot, because now you're getting caught off all off balance. If you elect to go across your body, get none of the ball, get all of Jackson. The result of a really dangerous set piece for the Riverhounds.
Pittsburgh players were swarming the referee looking for a yellow card. Felt that it was similar to the foul on the other end by Sean Suber that led to a yellow, but no card this time for Erlinson. But a free kick nonetheless for Robbie Mertz. Still looking for our first shot on target from either side through 32 minutes. Great spot for this set piece, Mertz. Mertz drives it, flicked on and in! Who else? Edward Kizza for the 4th game in a row puts the Riverhounds on top.
A game this tight, every decision matters. Wrong foot from Erlinson. Draws the foul in, but it's the movement from Edward Kizza at the last second to pop off the shoulder of Florian Velo right in front of Keegan Hughes. And he just wants it more. Gets it right before his individual marker. Does not need to hit it hard, just simply redirect it. Exactly what Bob Lilly wanted, exactly what he got. 1-0 for the Riverhounds in the 34th minute.
It's not going to show up on the stat sheet for Jacquesin, but go back to the start of this one, the opening portion of our broadcast. We highlighted Kizza and Jacquesin, what they've done as a duo ever since Jacquesin made that debut back on September 7th. It was 7 combined goals and 2 assists. Now it's 8 combined goals and no assists for Jacquesin, but who drew that foul that led to that Mertz free kick? It was Jacquesin's hard work down the right side, drawing that foul from Erlinson. So those two combining again to help the Riverhounds trying to respond here in Loudoun, and it's gathered by Dick.
Now it's going to be very difficult for this Loudoun United side to get any clear-cut opportunities against this Riverhounds back line. They've only conceded 28 times, and especially going up a goal in this first half. Bob Lilly special. Get all the players behind the ball, make life very difficult, and try to park this bus. So how clean can you be on the ball in terms of your movement, your combination play, and your audacity for this Loudoun United side, pulling up from distance, making them step out of their shell. They throw everything here for Loudoun to try to get an equalizer.
Pittsburgh 10-1-4 when scoring first this season. So they've done it 15 times. They've only lost once when they've scored first. 10 wins, 4 draws.
Just so impressive. You mix that with the experience on the field. You look at it, Danny Griffin, Hogan, Robbie Mertz, Kizza, the list goes on and on. Players that understand how to see out games, home or away. And then you have your difference maker in Jackson. You look at Blackstock as well, can be an outlet on this near side. It's going to set up for really intriguing sort of the tactics, because Loudoun's going to step out, right? They need to go and chase the game a little bit more. The traditional moments can be key.
Not only are they going to have to chase this a bit more because they're down Loudoun, but inherently, Ryan Martin in our conversation this week said they would play for the win. A draw, based on the way the tiebreakers look with other teams, they're not the happier side with a draw in this one, Loudoun. Pittsburgh would be. Bob Lilly, because Pittsburgh has the tiebreakers on the teams around them, North Carolina, Birmingham, Hartford. They just want to get to the key number of 46. If they get to 46, they feel like they're in. So they were content with a point in this game. Loudoun, the exact opposite. They were pushing for 3 regardless. So that was going to be the case if it was 0-0, if it's 1-1. Now down a goal, they are going to push.
It's actually been building out of the back where Loudoun has found their most success, because that front four for the Riverhounds are likely to press a little bit higher, which is unusual for this Riverhound side. So if you can bypass that initial line, now you have a little bit of an overload between McCabe, Skundrich, Abukor dropping in against Griffin and Walty. But the problem is when you do get in those areas, it's just a bit too slow, a bit too sloppy. The minor details have been lacking. Playing the right foot, playing the ball in front of your teammate. Result of that, you have to put your foot on it, you have to slow the game down, and now you allow the Riverhounds to get through their defensive structure.
Tingy. Last moment down the field, they actually credited Loudoun with their first shot on target rather than a cross. So tonight's shots are brought to you by Smoothie King in the DMV. Try the new Dude Perfect Smoothie at Smoothie King. Get yours now at Smoothie King. See if they can add on to just that one shot on target. Now that they've gone down 1-0 in this first half. This is playing out exactly as Pittsburgh would have hoped, and the exact opposite as far as what Loudoun would have hoped against this stout Riverhound side defensively.
Player that we highlighted for Loudoun United, Zach Ryan, 10 goals, 4 assists on this season, only 7 touches through the first 38 minutes. Needs to become a little bit more influential, but you always know as a striker coming into a game like this Riverhound side, you're not going to see a lot of the ball. So now it's the selfless movements that need to become a little bit more crucial for the striker, making those runs towards the corner flag, pulling out center backs. Can he impact the game, Zach Ryan, as it progresses?
Blackstock gave it away. Abukora picks it up. Abukora for Skundrich, and just as quickly as it was given away by Pittsburgh, look how many yellow jerseys gather centrally and allow nothing for Loudoun. Edward Kiz's goal, 4 games in a row, now 11 on the season. As Pittsburgh ahead 1-0 in this first half, came 5 minutes ago. Loudoun trying to respond. Abukora. Aua. Abukora. 5 goals this season for Abukora. Floats one in. Dealt with by the Riverhounds. Well read by Kizza. Picked up by Mertz. Kizza still full speed. Kizza. Drops it back for Mertz. Griffin was disjointed after Kizza tried to cut back.
The timing for Robbie Mertz needs to be a little bit better. At the 3v2, need to make one of the defenders step into you and engage, and that's when you play into the path. Played a tad bit early. Now Learman has the ability to recover and slow down that transitional moment.
Abukora playing in this central role. That's been interesting. He's typically been more of an out-and-out winger on the top line for Loudoun. You usually see Florian Below pop into those pockets where Abukora has been. Keep an eye on that relationship as things continue to go on. Now floated toward Below.
It just seems like, Joe, when Loudoun gets into this area of the field, they don't really have any real-time solutions to break through the line. Every single player wants a ball to feet. Florian Below hasn't made a vertical run. Abukora as well has been more in the pocket. Zach Ryan has been very stagnant. You get the movement and the fluidity a little bit more involved, especially when you get closer to your attacking goal.
Walty continues to push the space. Walty cut out by Keegan Hughes. And McCabe surveying, looking long for Zach Ryan. Ryan pushing his way through. Still Zach Ryan. Needs some help. Ryan, end line. Tried to sneak it through. Did well to even fight to that point. Abukora, Awua, and cleared.
The first time that we've seen Loudoun elect to play a little bit more direct, off of recovering the ball, and Zach Ryan does extremely well to require so much attention. He just needs to be quicker, whether it is Abukora or Awua to drop in and help him. Give credit to Riverhounds how quickly they recover as well.
Abukora again. Erlinson. Velo looking for Ryan again. He's in that same spot where he's got his back to goal near the end line, trying to draw the penalty. It's encouraging that he's finding space in the box right now, but it's not necessarily the dangerous space. There's nothing he could do from that body position. Abukora from distance ends up slicing wide. And finally, Pittsburgh could catch their breath after a little bit of a flurry.
Love the intent here from this Loudoun United side. Playing a little bit more directional over the last 5 minutes.
Your all-access pass to the latest forecast from Janessa Webb, Jackie Layer, Damon Matson, Scott Sumner, and Brittany Ward. All across the DMV. DC News Now weather.
2 to play in this first half. Edward Kiss's goal in the 33rd minute. The difference right now, assist to Robbie Mertz. Pittsburgh in the live table, able to do a little bit of climbing. They had fallen behind North Carolina. Now they go back above North Carolina in 7th. North Carolina has a 2-0 lead on Tampa Bay. Elsewhere, Hartford's locked in 1-1 against Tulsa. So right now, from 7th down to 10th, the standings read Pittsburgh, North Carolina, Loudoun, Birmingham. At the start of the day, it was Loudoun and North Carolina flipped. So Loudoun below that playoff line. They started the day above it. They started our game below it because North Carolina was already in action. Here's Abukora. Strong closing kick to this half for Loudoun. They're getting into the attacking third now. What can they do once they get there? Abukora tries to sneak through, and it's intercepted. Jackerson taken down. And a yellow card issued as well. Tommy McCabe joins Kwame Awua in the book on the Loudoun side.
Just so quick off the mark, Jackerson is, and notice how square Tommy McCabe's body is. You need to move your feet as you try to lunge into this. Mistimed, takes all of Jackerson out, picks up a yellow card, so he will join Awua That's the 2 players for Loudoun.
You can check out all the exciting postseason action as the USL playoffs presented by Terminix kick off in November. Top teams will battle it out for the ultimate prize. Go to USLChampionship.com for all the latest playoff information. Told there will be 2 minutes of stoppage time. Just waiting for that confirmation from the 4th official. We have our confirmation. 2 minutes of stoppage time. Brought to you by Novec. Novec keeps you humming along. Tingy off balance. Ball from below behind him. Will retain possession though. Below. Still just 1 shot on target for each of these teams. Pittsburgh made theirs count on the set piece. Game that's so far going exactly the way we sort of thought it would. Loudoun controlling the possession, the territory. Pittsburgh being opportunistic, set pieces playing a role, and Edward Kizza playing a role with that goal. We felt that if Pittsburgh got that opening goal, they'd sit tight. They have been doing that. Loudoun trying to break them down here. And it's loose still. Laid back off now. Blocked in front by Osamanu. Loudoun thought it was a handball. Referee says no. That was the most dangerous bit of action from Loudoun in this first half. Last chance in this first half, Tingy. I think it might have actually been Sean Suber who put his body on the line and made that block.
It almost seems as Loudoun has gone down a goal. It's woken their attacking side of the game a little bit up, getting on the ball a bit more intent, more energy, more production as well, it seems like, more want.
There is the whistle to end this first half. So we'll see, Ricky, if they can continue that into the second half. They responded really well to going down, but Pittsburgh, one of the toughest teams to come back against once you fall behind.
Especially when building out of the back. We saw Loudoun direct play into Zach Ryan, winning second balls and gaining some real estate higher up the field. So I will not be surprised if we see a little bit more of that for Ryan Martin coming out in the second 45. And for Bob Lilly, top priority is going to be how tight can you be defending and winning those second duels.
Game that means so much in the playoff chase in the Eastern Conference. 2 teams who were part of a 4-team pack that were on 42 points coming into the day. Loudoun United, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, in what felt like a playoff game. Both coaches were selling it that way to their group in the locker rooms. It's Pittsburgh with a 1-0 lead through 45. More to come from Segra Field.
You thought you knew Cuomo.
See the game, my friends. Expose the game.
The real Chris just might surprise you.
So you can change the game.
Surprising.
The agenda is you.
Free thinking.
News Nation is the only news organization whose name is reflective of you.
Game changing.
America is News Nation.
Cuomo, weeknights at 8/7 Central, only on America's fastest growing cable news network. News Nation. News for all America.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
DC News Now is worth watching.
Thanks for joining us for DC News Now at 10.
Super serving the DMV.
Reporting in Northern Virginia.
Levin Bowie.
In Upper Marlboro.
Forecasting each region of the DMV.
Region by region.
Responsive and ready for breaking news no matter the location.
To show you exactly how all of this went down.
We get there faster.
Reporting in Greenbelt, Maryland.
We cover more ground.
Hagerstown.
Super serving the DMV. Watch DC News Now tonight at 10 on DCW 50. It's worth watching.
You have the power to save. Take charge of your energy bill with these tips from Novec. Adjust your ceiling fans to rotate counterclockwise for warmer weather. Novec also recommends installing a programmable thermostat to avoid cooling your home when you're away. Set your water heater to 120 degrees. Novec is helping members save energy, which means saving money. Harness your savings power. Find more tips and tools at novec.com/save.
Fan appreciation night here for Loudoun. They're down 1-0 at home against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in what's been arguably the best season in Loudoun United's club history, and it's meant a lot to the season ticket holders.
It means a lot to us, you know, not only as fans of the game, but also as members of the community. We moved here in 2022, so just over 2 years ago, and enjoyed watching the Men's World Cup matches that took place that year. And it was after that we discovered that there's a team right here in Leesburg, just down the road from where we live. So we decided to go all in, sight unseen, and from day one, they've been incredibly welcoming to us, you know, the entire family. Not just my family, but theirs as well, Loudoun United's. From the coaching staff to the marketing team, the directors, and even the players, you know, being communicative on social media and responsive to our congratulating them on a match well played, to wishing them happy birthday. They've been, you know, super responsive to social media posts and, you know, responsive to us as fans in the stands. And it feels like really part of the community, you know, not just a team that we go and watch play, but that we can actually be involved with directly, and they're involved directly back with us. And so it's been great these past 2 years, and I'm looking forward to many more years to come and see them continuously climb the table and do better each year.
Is it somebody's birthday? Dad, come watch us hit this ugly piñata. Dad!
When Hornets show up, so do we. Terminix it. We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Welcome to Do or Die. Welcome to stories that give meaning to it all. The juggernaut chasing history. The hero hoping for a Hollywood ending. The upstart determined to make the most of its shot at glory. Welcome to second guessing everything. Every coach's decision. Every referee's call. Every pass, shot, tackle, save. Because you know it all means more now. Welcome to the playoffs.
When mosquitoes show up, so do we. Terminix it.
Yeah, trick. I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
Does anyone feel like life can be really messy? I know I do. There is something shady going on. There's a million ways to cheat. and everybody lives on their phone.
I found a screenshot of this woman.
Let's be real. The game has changed.
I cheated, you cheated. So what?
I'm here to help make sense of it all because trust, I've been through it all. And I'm not afraid to get into your mess.
You are not winning in life. Let that sink in.
So let's get into it.
Karamo, weekdays at 3 on DCW 50.
At the break here at Seger Field, Pittsburgh leading Loudoun 1-0. Take a broader look now around USL Championship with some news and notes as we are a week away from decision day. As hard as that is to fathom, the focus right now more than anything else is obviously Tampa Bay and the Rowdies and just making sure everybody is getting back to rebuilding after everything that's gone on there. It was great to see what Louisville did. And those two have been maybe the best rivals we've seen over the last few years in the Eastern Conference or USL Championship as a whole. To see that helping hand extended was heartwarming.
Some things are bigger than soccer, and that's top class from Lou City, what they've been able to do to help the Rowdies as you go down. Copa Dejas, El Paso claimed the 2024 so they can take something positive from their season. Yuma, Morelli, they seem to be on their way out as they retire after their last game of the season as well.
Damian Kimbrough is not close to retiring. He was just called up to the U15 squad for the upcoming camp as well. We'll keep an eye on that budding star in Sacramento. And these are the stars of the past week in USL Championship, the team of the week. And you've got Danny Barrera, who really turned back the clock for Hartford. A team right now who needs all the points they can get in their playoff chase. Picked up a big victory after his performance. Marlon Hairston from that group as well for Hartford had a big week.
Also, Coleman Gannon as well was fantastic for Dennis Sanchez. Duty, we looked at how big of a win it was for San Antonio, as well as Cistaniega, Solignac, Kevin Conway. The list goes on and on. Ethan Zubak has looked completely different since Danny Stone has taken over for Orange County as well.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the standings now in the Eastern Conference. These are live, given the current score lines that we're seeing around the league. That includes Pittsburgh's 1-0 lead right now. It includes North Carolina beating Tampa Bay 2-0, and what is currently a 1-1 scoreline between Hartford and Tulsa. So right now, this is what's going to be at stake going into our second half. As it stands, Loudoun is 3 full points back of Pittsburgh, who had the tiebreaker.
Big 45 minutes for Loudoun United. For Ryan Martin, you're trying to press every right button to get a reaction because you just know how big this next 45 is going to be for your season and your playoff hopes.
Take a look at the schedule from around the league. You've got more games that are just about set to kick off, including a very important one between Indy and Birmingham. You just saw where those two teams were in the standings. Birmingham, a team that both Loudoun and Pittsburgh are hoping lose in their affair against Indy. And there's your confirmation of what we saw earlier. Detroit, North Carolina with some wins, Tulsa with the draw. Charleston, Rhode Island, meaningful in a different way. Rhode Island's trying to push for a home playoff game as well, but everything really comes down to that Indy-Birmingham game coming up now.
And Birmingham is such an interesting team because you look at their talent stack, but unable to really figure things out, and they continue to drop down this Eastern Conference. Not going to be easy to go to Indy 11 and Sean McCauley's side full of confidence. They're trying to play at home once the playoffs come around.
And once we get later into the evening, this is what things will look like in the Western Conference. It's very tight there as well. Obviously, we've been focused on the East with this Loudoun-Pittsburgh matchup, but we talk about Orange County and Phoenix and Oakland, all teams right now that are hovering around that line. San Antonio has to take on Louisville. They're 3 back of the playoff line. A lot could look different come the end of the night in the Western Conference.
I'm looking at that San Antonio and Lou City match. What does that look like for Alan Marcino playing at home, a rematch of the 2022 final? What does that look like for Lou City? Because they are obviously the #1 seed, but San Antonio, they need those 3 points. Fantastic matchup there.
San Antonio's got a chance against Louisville, especially if they rest some players. And if they win San Antonio and Oakland loses at Vegas, which is well within the realm of possibility given Oakland's recent form, you're going to see a switch where Oakland will dip below that playoff line and San Antonio all of a sudden will poke above it. San Antonio and Pittsburgh are on kind of mirroring tracks in both conferences here. Teams that the teams already in the postseason probably don't want to see sneak in as the 8 seed. The Riverhounds are trying to do more than just that. They're up to the 7 seed right now in the live table because of this 1-0 lead over Loudoun. The second half is on the way.
DC News Now is worth watching.
Good morning and thanks for starting your day with us here on DC News Now.
Wake up with the team super serving the DMV.
If you want to get a head start out there before you head out the door this morning.
Keeping you in the know as you start your day.
Live here in Bowie, live in Dulles.
With weather and traffic that won't keep you guessing.
In DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Wake up with a team focusing on all the communities in the DMV. Watch DC News Now. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9. It's worth watching.
Rising up like lightning. Won't give up, nothing can keep me down. Fire it up, I'm fighting. Won't give up, I'm gonna hold my ground.
Get tickets for our next match and info on special events at LoudounUnitedFC.com.
Weather for all the DMV. Your weather experts. You're watching DC News Now.
Gas prices got you fuming? No need to get heated. Save time and money with Metro. Ride, save, explore. Metro. Make your trip monumental. Sightsee through DC without overspending on gas and ride shares. Experience DC the local way. Ride, save, explore. Metro.
Ready to get things going in half number 2 between Loudoun and Pittsburgh. A 1-0 lead for the Riverhounds, courtesy of an Edward Kizik goal in the 33rd minute. We'll take you back through highlights from half number 1. Ricky, early on, it was Loudoun controlling the territory, the tempo, the opportunities, but Pittsburgh eventually had that counterpunch.
They seemed the more threatening side, this Loudoun United side. It came out of this game and they were on the ball, they were asking questions, they were very confident in their mobility in the space, and they continue to pick up something straight off the training ground. You change the angle, try to catch this Riverhound side sleeping, and Keegan Tingy unable to make clean contact, but give credit to this Riverhound side. They did just enough to throw off Tingy, because that sets up fantastically for the outside back.
From that point on, though, all of a sudden Pittsburgh grew into the game. They were finding their own opportunities as they continued to withstand some half-hearted chances from Loudoun.
I thought the back line was really good at understanding their recovery runs and staying like for like with the attacking unit for this Loudoun United side. Just understand how Jackson Walty does just enough to throw off Abercrombie. Little things like that have been the really difference maker for the Riverhounds to keep this 1-0. And then Jackson, how clever he is, sees the space, takes the space. Erlington gets his body position all wrong, and when you have Robbie Mertz over the ball, you always know quality, but it's the movement from Edward Kiza. Last second, he pops off of Florian Below. Now Keegan Hughes has to step up a little bit slow in terms of that rotation. Lansing header, 11th on the season, 1-0 Riverhounds.
11th on the season and 4th game in a row with the goal for Edward Kiza. There was one last great chance before the break for Loudoun, but just a testament to the group defending of this Riverhounds team. You had Osumanu and Suber both slide in to block this one. Couldn't quite tell initially who ultimately got the block on it. You best look at it here. Might have been Osumanu, might not have been. They don't care. Somebody got to it, kept it out, keeping it 1-0 Pittsburgh. And we're ready to begin half number 2. Riverhounds left to right in the yellow. Loudoun right to left in the white. Alejo Kalume sends us on our way, and here we go. Half number 2, 1-0 Pittsburgh lead. If it stays this way, Pittsburgh won't clinch a playoff spot, but they can start making plans for the weekend of November 2nd and November 3rd. Loudoun, on the other hand, will have it come down to the last day on decision day next week. So much at stake over the next 45 minutes. I'm happy to have you with us for it on ESPN Plus with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa.
To end that first half, we saw Loudoun play a little bit more direct, route one into Zach Ryan, and then it's some movement and the willingness of Florian Velo and Abrukoro to try to win those second balls. So I would not be surprised if we see them set this second half up very similar in terms of that fashion. So now if you're Danny Griffin and Jackson Walty, when that ball gets by you, your job is not done. You have to have the ability to turn around and do your defensive duties, especially on second actions.
Pittsburgh's mark again was 10-1-4 when scoring first. They've been terrific front runners in the entire tenure of Bob Lilly, looking for a 7th consecutive postseason appearance. Below. Swerved in by Olua. Didn't see too much of that in the first half from Loudoun. Try from distance here. It's the first real save that Eric Dick has had to make. Didn't see a lot of that service over the top looking for headers from Loudoun in the first half.
Love the intent here from Learman. Steps up. No pressure on the ball whatsoever. Eric Dick makes this look a lot easier than what it is. Skips off the turf right as it approaches him. Secure hands from the goalkeeper for the Riverhounds.
Small sample size of 2 minutes, but Loudoun has come out of the locker room the same way they went into it, putting the pressure on this Pittsburgh back line in search of an equalizing goal. Samano carrying. Blackstock. Can Pittsburgh eat into some of the possession advantage from Loudoun? Had 32% of the ball in the first half. It's well below the mark that Bob Lilly was hoping of at least 40%. And to defend a lead, you can't just continue to bend and bend without breaking. At some point, you figure Loudoun will break through you. Need some of this sustained pressure and time on the ball of your own. What they have here. Walty. Ryan holds it up well. Nice turn from Skundrich. Ryan slow to get back to his feet. Now it's Velo. They're missing Zach Ryan from this attack. He's still down at the other end. Abukora. Awua. Good service again. And a free kick going Pittsburgh's way, but another sign of Awua getting up there and supplying the service for Loudoun.
Just put in a quality service as well. So as this ball is on the weak side, now you're asking Keegan Tingy to have the ability to crash towards that far post. A bit too pedestrian-like. Edward Kiza there to clean up the mess, and he wins that second duel to slow the game down a little bit.
You can watch the USL Championship in Spanish on Tudena, the nation's leading Spanish-language sports network. Select matches, including the championship final, will be available in Spanish throughout the rest of the season. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Abukora trying to use the speed. Pressure Pat Hogan. Calm composure on the back end. Contact there, but referee says keep it going. Jackeson. Still Jackeson. Keeps it in play down the left wing. Jackeson getting in line, has options for Kiza. Was maybe one step away. Seemed like he could have gotten to that one. What a run from Jackeson.
And he's been really quiet through 51 minutes here. Yes, he draws the foul, which results in the first goal for the Riverhounds, but he's a player that doesn't need a lot of the ball to make his impact felt.
Walty, Furrow has it.
So explosive, talented, requires so much attention, and the power that he runs with. Outruns about 3 Atlanta United players, slows this game down to get Learman square, but if you're Edward Kiza, you lay out. You have your second goal in the evening. The fantastic ball, flawless in the placement from Jacobson right on top of that 6-yard box.
Very surprised not to see Kiza over the slide there. Maybe he just couldn't see it through the bodies that were in front of him. Defenders tracking back, but that was one you'd expect to be finished off for a player with 11 goals now in the season and 1 tonight already. Below wants it, making this run down the near side. Galloping ahead is Skundrich. Tingy on his preferred left foot. Tingy lays it off. Awua. Kwame Awua right at Eric Dick.
And Loudoun has found some success. When you start on one side of the field, you end on the other through your weak-sided midfield. Skundrich finds a nice little pocket of space, so the outlet is always going to be Keegan Tingy. No real question for Eric Dick as Awua tries to bend it back across into that far post. But if you are Ryan Martin, how do you draw this Riverhound side to one side of the field to bait them, and then you can play centrally to go out the other way? That's been your best course of action.
Biasi. Back for Suber. He's on a yellow, Sean Suber. On the other side, it's McCabe and Awua with yellows for Loudoun. At what point do we see something more aggressive from Loudoun, be it a tactical shift, be it a substitution from Ryan Martin? A loss, obviously, could be backbreaking for Loudoun. In the grand scheme of things here, 2 weeks to go, tie isn't really all that helpful for Loudoun given the way the board looks and the way the tiebreakers look. A game that they viewed as one where they needed 3 points, even though it's not mathematically a must-win. Ryan Martin treating it that way. If that's the case, they need 2 goals. Pittsburgh more content with the draw. They finish with El Paso, last place team. Their target number is 46 points. A draw here and a win there gets them to that magic number of 46 in Bob Lilly's mind. So, Pittsburgh will be very conservative down the stretch here. Loudoun very aggressive. Started to see Wesley Leggett doing his runs down the left side of your screen, and he just shed the penny. So the answer might be right now that Ryan Martin is going to get aggressive. Awua keeps it in play. Abukora. Service from Abukora, and it cleared by Osamanu.
Be really surprised if Wesley Leggett does not come onto this field for Abukora to give a different look for Loudoun United. Pace, verticality, scored last time these two teams met, so you can grow some confidence from that. Wesley Leggett, his relationship with Zach Ryan going to be crucial if Loudoun have any hopes of clawing themselves back into this match.
Have to figure it's either Abukora or Velo. Cannot envision Zach Ryan's spot on this field being in danger unless there's a knock we don't know about. Leading scorer with 10 goals, and he's been a bright spot at moments, popping up in some dangerous situations here tonight. Here's Biasi. Pittsburgh, to true Riverhound form under Bob Lilly, has really not done much tonight, but they've done enough. 2 shots, 1 on target. That goal, the header off the set piece in the 33rd minute. 10 minutes into the second half now, nursing that lead. Have never threatened to tack on a second, really. At least any sustained pressure. There was that one individual moment from Jacobson a little while ago where it seemed like Kiza could have had a tap in. Even going back to the first half, after they scored the goal, it was all Loudoun. Here comes Loudoun again, it's Velo. McCabe. Awua.
Just seems a step too slow for Loudoun United. Awua just plays it into the wrong foot of Tommy McCabe, so now you have to play negative, and look at the numbers yet again for the Riverhounds. It's little decisions like that. It needs to be a little bit more concise and decisiveness for Loudoun United.
McCabe looking through. Quick touch here, going out to the left foot for Ryan.
Does really well, Zach Ryan, to create his own space, understanding the movement from Hogan. He's already predicting this ball back into Skundrich. Head up the whole way, sees a nice little pocket of space, but as there's a little bit of backlift, gets underneath.
Well, we have our answer as to how aggressive Ryan Martin's going to be. We mentioned possibly Florian Velo or Abdelatif Abukora as far as the player coming off for Wesley Leggett. Instead, it's a center back. Keegan Hughes off for Wesley Leggett. So Ryan Martin is throwing everything at Pittsburgh here.
After thinking it's going to be a little bit of a tactical change as well. 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, the 2 times.
Looking for Leggett right away off the bench. Ball loose, Stick has it.
The 2 formations that you would expect for Loudoun United to shift into, because now you have 2 focal points to play off of. Zach Ryan and Wesley Leggett, different profiles. You just see the athletic ability, how high he jumps Wesley Leggett to throw off Eric Dick. In the end, it is a foul. So expect a lot of similar action from Loudoun, putting the ball into a dangerous area, testing the decision-making of that man, Eric Dick.
Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. Edward Kizza feeds Blackstock. Blackstock cuts it back for Jacqueson! Kizza earlier! Jacqueson now, the dynamic duo for Pittsburgh gets it done again, and the Riverhounds lead 2-0.
Touch on them in the open, the ability to play off of each other. Watch the movement from Edward Kizza. As he slashes towards that near post, what does that do? That pulls out Erlinson. Opens up a lane for Jacqueson to step into it. Fantastic pick out from Blackstock. You talk about the technical ability as well, to let it come across your body and just guide it into that far post. Nothing that Farouk can do. And the Riverhounds have doubled their lead at the hour mark.
Strong traveling contingent of Riverhound supporters, and they have to absolutely love what they've gotten. And Bertrand Jacqueson joins officially on loan on September 5th. Thrown right into the fire as a starter on September 7th. His 6th start here tonight. 5 goals, 2 assists. It's unlocked Kizza as well. Goals in 4 straight games. It's unlocked a Riverhounds attack that had really been dormant. They'd relied so heavily on their defensive prowess, and even in that long unbeaten run, the reason they're not higher than they are in their standings is because so many of those games were 0-0 draws and just did not pick up the points they could have. But Bob Lilly doesn't often show it, but I assure you he's happy with what he's seeing right now. 2-0 lead on the road, and a chance to, not quite, but almost ice away a playoff spot. Up. Eric Dick.
Just going back to that point that you made about Jacqueson unlocking Edward Kizza, but also Robbie Mertz. Right, he has the ability now to go and just search the game. We saw him play on the left-hand side in that second goal, because so many times it was him and Edward Kizza essentially playing high. So you need Robbie Mertz to be that outlet. So now he has the freedom underneath Bob Lilly to go and affect the game as he wants, as well as this man, Danny Griffin, the Iron Man, the work rate on both sides of the ball.
Here's Mertz. Drops it back for Walty. Jackson Walty chips it through. Kizza off the chest. Here's a chance at another one. It ends up in the net, but multiple players offside for Pittsburgh. I want to go back to the goal again, though. There was moments after Keegan Hughes had been subbed off for Wesley Leggett, taking off your center back and your center back of a back three for a striker. And it comes right in that space. The goal scored by Jacquesin. Anything that could have been a miscommunication there, shuffling your back line that led to that goal?
A little bit. And I do think definitely that plays a factor into it for Erlinson and Learman, especially over the last 5 minutes. I've seen a bit confused in their spacing, their decision-making, and having a really difficult time figuring things out. I mean, it's defending 101, the way that you concede that goal. As Erlinson goes with Edward Kizza, now Learman needs to drop in and just puts a body on Jacquesin. You cannot allow a player of that quality just to arrive into the 18-yard box unmatched. He's going to hit the back of the net every single time. So as one defender gets drawn out, now you need the responsibility from the weak side just to track a man. Lost in translation, lost in rotation, now you're down 2-0.
Yassi, Jacquesin took a deflection, but gobbled up by Farouk. Bent in behind. Leggett almost gets there. Going back to our conversation from a moment ago as far as this Pittsburgh team just not converting enough on the attacking end and having a lot of those 0-0 draws, some of those 1-1 draws, and all those tight, low-scoring games, even in their unbeaten run, keeping, suppressing their point total. This is only the 6th time this year they've scored 2 goals or more. They're undefeated when they do. 3 wins, 2 draws. But this is game 33. It's only game 6 scoring multiple goals for the Riverhounds.
And it's back-to-back games.
Absolutely.
So if you are Bob Lilly, you're looking at your side and saying, did we just figure things out in the attacking phase of this game? Scored 2 against Charleston Battery, 2 on the road here for Loudoun United. Do not look now. The Riverhounds might be finding their full stride as playoffs are approaching.
Free kick on the way for Loudoun. Down 2 goals, less than a half an hour remaining. These have to be turned into scoring opportunities. Cannot continue to squander. Danny Rivera is going to come on now. This is Junior Eto on the Pittsburgh side. That'll be all for Edward Kizza and Robbie Mertz.
You need something if you are Loudoun United from this set piece, not only for the players, but also to get the fans behind you, to give them a little bit of life and to make it more of a hostile environment. Similar location that we saw them elect to come off something off the training ground. You go short to play long. I think Zach Ryan's going to call his own number here, try to bend it around the wall. It's that near post area of Eric Dick's goal.
Here's the whistle. Zach Ryan against a 4-man wall. 10 goals on the season, 6-game drought. Ryan almost broke the drought off the bar. Albacora. He drops one in. Osamano heads away. McCabe lost it. Elsewhere, Indy 11 is leading Birmingham 2-0 in the first half of play. That means in the live table, Pittsburgh in 7th, North Carolina in 8th, Loudoun 9th, Birmingham 10th, Hartford 11th. Pittsburgh would be 4 points clear of 11th place Hartford, 3 clear of both Loudoun and Birmingham. Now Pittsburgh has the tiebreaker over both Loudoun and Birmingham. So those 2 teams cannot catch the Riverhounds anymore as it stands. Hartford, however, still can. So too can North Carolina. So they're not clear yet, Pittsburgh.
What a strike this is from Zach Ryan. Notice at the last second, he just dips his head over the ball. So you still get the shape, you still get the venom, but you also do not let it allow to go up and over the crossbar.
Robbie Dambrot, Riley Bedois getting ready to come on now for Loudoun. It'll be a 7th consecutive playoff appearance for the Riverhounds. Loudoun, they've never been into the postseason in USL Championship, hoping that this was the year, and this 3-game snag, if this result holds, could be their undoing. Home loss to Indy, road draw to Rhode Island, and maybe a home loss here to Pittsburgh. Walty. Wonder if there even are any answers right now for Loudoun. You're talking about a Riverhounds team that since the start of August, that's 11 matches coming into today, they've allowed just 6 goals since the start of August in 11 matches. You're asking this Loudoun team on a night where Ryan Martin views it as a must-win, where a draw is as good as a loss, they're going to need 3 in 20 minutes against a team that's given up 6 in 11 games. Math not on their side, Ricky.
Good thing, Joe, that this game is not won and lost through math.
Fair enough.
And on paper. So if you are Ryan Martin, the next 5 minutes, if you can get at least 1 goal, now you can make it interesting for the remaining 15 plus here. But balls like this are just so difficult to execute in. The angle is all off. There's not a lot of real estate to drop it right in beyond that back line. We saw Loudoun find the most success when they're playing in between the lines, but also when they're going around. Aua, get him more involved in the final third. You have Learman as well. Players like that that can put in quality service, because you do have a lot of weapons now in the attacking fray.
In behind for Awua, squares it back, and nobody in a white jersey there to get to the loose ball. Here come those changes. Dambrot for Awua, Bedois for Skundrich. Here's Blackstock at the assist on the Jacqueson goal that made it 2-0. At 2. Erlinson. They can't find anything right now, Loudoun. Just a yellow wall of these Riverhounds.
They're also making it very easy for the Riverhounds. How many times have we seen someone break a line with their runs? Be vertical. Every single player in a white jersey wants the ball to feet. Makes life so easy for the Riverhounds just to step in, keep their lines compact, and shift from left to right. When you get a little bit confusion involved is when you make those runs of push and pull, kind of someone showing defeat, someone running behind. We haven't seen that enough from Loudoun.
Below lays it off. Comes back for Tingy. Below. Abukora. Goes for goal, Abukora. If there's a player who can provide that singular moment of brilliance on this Loudoun team, it's Abukora, but doesn't happen there.
Game night on DC News Now with Derek Forrest, Brandy Flores, Alex Flum, and Jake Ron. Game night, the only 7-day-a-week sports show tonight at 11 on DC News Now.
Under 20 minutes remaining at Segra Field. Glad to have had you with us this evening on ESPN Plus alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Pittsburgh Riverhounds came in to this one above the playoff line. Loudoun just beneath it, but both were on 42 points. It was the tiebreaker that had one above and one below. Well, the tie has been more than broken by Pittsburgh over the course of this matchup so far. A 2-0 lead. Goals by Kiza and Jacquesin. The dynamic duo just keeps on providing. Ever since they formed a pair when Jacquesin joined on September 5th. You've got now 4 goals in 4 games for Kiza. Jacquesin, 5 goals with 2 assists. They've been lights out. There's Zach Ryan trying to get something back for Loudoun. Won't happen there. And it's steered out for a throw.
He's worked extremely hard. Zach Ryan hasn't had the service that he would have liked throughout the course of this match. 74 minutes. Just notice a difference in the defensive rotation as he makes that run down centrally. Now Suber comes in. Hogan rotates over, something that was lacking in the Loudoun goal that they conceded.
Can't watch the match. Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesdays at 7 Eastern. Plus, you get live matches from around the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. As current results look, obviously a lot can change over the course of the next hour or 45 minutes in some cases. Got Hartford and Tulsa locked in a 1-1 draw. Pittsburgh would be 4 points clear of Hartford. We've got Birmingham and Loudoun in the live table, both on 42 points. Pittsburgh's 3 points clear, but neither of those two teams can surpass Pittsburgh because of the tiebreaker. So Loudoun and Birmingham, scratch them off the list as far as your worries if you're Pittsburgh. The only 2 teams that could finish above Pittsburgh and force them below the line would be North Carolina and Hartford, because Hartford have a game in hand. They have 2 games remaining. Their maximum possible points remaining would be 47 to Pittsburgh, where they're at 45. So if Pittsburgh were to lose against El Paso, North Carolina pick up a point, Hartford win both their games, Pittsburgh's out. That's the only way. As it stands, with the tiebreakers against Birmingham and Loudoun, it is only that one scenario where Pittsburgh loses to last place El Paso, North Carolina picks up points on the last day, and Hartford wins each of their last 2 matches. Any other scenario, and Pittsburgh is getting into the postseason for a 7th consecutive time. That's why this game was so important. Fed through, offside flag up on Leggett.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, Joe. You look at this Hartford Athletic remaining schedule. They go to Tampa Bay, which will be playing at IMG, and then they go to Orange County. Really difficult for Brendan Burke down the stretch here.
Remember when it was like July and everybody thought that Bob Lilly and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds were done and dusted?
Back of our mind, we knew it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when.
Right.
They would start to figure things out. 11 games, 1 loss. Conceded 6 times. It's been phenomenal, the form that the Riverhounds have been over the last couple months.
craziest thing now, after all that, and just can they get to the 8 seed Pittsburgh, right? They could get to the 5 seed. The way the board plays out, they could be the 5 seed. Again, they have last place El Paso on the final day. They are 3 points back of 5th place Rhode Island. So it's not going to be a case where they could get to a home playoff game anymore. They're 6 back of Indy, who are in 4th. But they could get as high as 5th when all is said and done for a team that was maybe hoping to scrap for 8th.
Fantastic goalkeeping here from Eric Dick. Falls awkwardly, falls hard. But if you're a goalkeeper and you decide to come off of your line, teammate or not, you have to go through them. Decides to venture off his line, secure hands, no spillage whatsoever. Exactly what you want from a goalkeeper. Hard fall, to be fair. Good to see him walking, getting up on his own power.
Dozen minutes remaining before Eric Dick gets his 13th clean sheet of the season. And coming in, his goals against average .75. He was a clear head and shoulders above the rest front runner for the Golden Glove. He's just about got that locked up now. If you're Loudoun, you just got to pick up the pieces here. See if you could salvage anything at the end of this one. Again, it's a very, very difficult uphill battle, scoring 3 against Pittsburgh. Because in the words of Ryan Martin, a draw's as good as a loss. So they're looking for 3, not 2 here. And then you finish on the road against Charleston. What will that Charleston Battery team look like with players maybe resting? They're locked into the number 2 spot. We don't know. And that could very much bode well for Loudoun, the same way it boded well for Pittsburgh last week when they beat a shorthanded Charleston team, shorthanded by choice, 2-0. Here's Jacquesin. Let's be the cherry on top for Pittsburgh. Jacquesin plays it all the way through. At 2, had it blocked. And there is still a way for this Loudoun team, as you look at the standings, to sneak in next week, but it's not going to be easy at this point anymore. Over the top again for Abukora, tries something crazy. Out for a goal kick. For Loudoun now, if this holds, they're 3 points back of North Carolina.
Really difficult from Abukora. Ball's coming over your left shoulder, you're leaning away from it. And again, Super does just enough to throw him off, unable to read the flight and get clean contact.
3 points back in North Carolina. Loudoun, 1 game remaining. Would have to be a North Carolina loss and a Loudoun win. They're even in the first 2 tiebreakers. It's going to come down to points per game against in-conference opponents, the 3rd tiebreaker, as far as who would get in, and that's only with a Loudoun win and a North Carolina loss on the last day. Final couple of changes here. Williamson and Nagy on. Abukora gives way. As does Velo. Pierre Kaye about to come on for Pittsburgh to help lock things down at the back, and a cameo from Canaro Forbes as well. Dambrot. Nice Nice move to get by the initial defender, Williamson. Just no avenues through here for Loudoun. They have 10 shots, 3 are on target. One of those 3 on target was a generous statistical decision from the official scorer. So for all intents and purposes, 10 shots, 2 on target. 0.61 expected goals tally. All that really just stands to say they have not created a ton against the Riverhounds. They're not the only team that's had that issue against Riverhounds this year. Jacquesin gives way. He provided the insurance goal after Kizza scored the first. Another night with those two producing for the Riverhounds.
Team that's only found the back of the net 3 times in their last 6 games, counting this one. Loudoun United unable to find in their last 3 games, getting shut out against Indy, 0-0 draw against Rhode Island, and through 83 minutes unable to break through this Riverhound side. One thing that we see with this Loudoun United side, it's unable to really change their identity and to break through when teams sit into a mid to low block. And when the game is open, now you can be transitional, you can have combination play when a team throws 11 players behind the ball. That's one of the hardest things to do in this game, is to break through and get clear-cut opportunities. But now that just lies on talent and willingness from a player to put the responsibilities on their shoulders, and just the decision-makings have been lacking a little bit from Loudoun. Players taking too many touches. If you find a window of space from Wesley Leggett, you just need to serve this ball in. Because as you continue to take extra touches, you see Blackstock dropping in. There's a little bit of a push there, but I do think Wesley Leggett goes down far too easily.
eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball, free to play. Download now. Chested down, taken away by Kaye. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of role Canado Forbes plays going into the postseason here for Pittsburgh. As little as he's played down the stretch, starting role pretty much gone. 32 appearances now this year, 13 starts. And this is an advanced age, still the assist king, still that extension of Bob Lilly on the field in a way with the way he sees the game. You wonder if there is a role for him in the postseason, in a larger role than we've seen in the regular season with more on the line. Maybe there's a game where Pittsburgh's trying to lock it down 0-0. Or does Bob Lilly continue to trot out the lineup he's been trotting out? And is it safe to say there's been a passing of the torch and a turning of the page when it comes to Forbes and his role in this league and with this team? The league's assist king, up there in age now, and it's maybe not an option anymore for Bob Lilly.
I think he's going to play a massive factor, whether it is on the ball in between the white lines or whether he's on the sideline, because you look at the motivation that he can give to this Riverhound side, the experience, the leadership. How many times have we seen a team go on a magical run in a postseason and say, we did it for this guy, we did it for a guy who's walking towards the end of his career. Canado Forbes is one of the leaders for this side, so he's going to have a big say, whether it is statistically or vocally with the Riverhound side.
Helping see out games might be his best attribute right now, and you see it there, the way he's able to draw that foul against Tingy and the yellow to Tingy as well. That IQ is going to come in very handy. For all the talk about the Riverhounds last year, Player Shield winners, finishing as the highest point getters in the regular season to lose in the first round at home against the 8 seed Detroit City FC. Maybe some redemption where this year it was a lesser regular season for Pittsburgh overall, but they've been one of the best regular season teams ever since early August. Coming in the postseason with lower expectations as a lower seed with the September edition of Jacquesin. Can they be that dark horse this year? I think all signs are starting to point to yes for the Riverhounds. Their record about to move to 4-1-1 since acquiring Jacquesin. Publicly had an interesting analogy for us as far as what Jacquesin means to the group. But when we asked him what it's been like to add him in, he said, well, if you're starving and somebody drops a bag of rice at your door, it's going to taste like surf and turf. And he went on to say that that wasn't necessarily a knock on Jacquesin, comparing his game to just a bland bag of rice. But it was more a case of this attack just needed some level of sustenance, and he has provided it in leaps and bounds. He's unlocked, as you mentioned earlier, Mertz. He's unlocked Kiza. He's producing himself with 5 goals in 6 games. Everything else has been able to fall in line now because of what he brought to the table.
Just gives you a different spark, a different look as well. A different face in the locker room, a different point of view. And that is what can change the form, the fortune of a side. And we've seen that players having a lot more freedom, a bit more understanding when he's on the field.
Is there really any question as far as who the best summer acquisition has been around the league? I mean, you start going through the teams, there's been plenty of players dropped into key spots, and you could make the case that Danny Stone is the best acquisition of the summer, being hired as the interim coach for Orange County in that turnaround. But from an on-field standpoint in the statistics, it's Jacquesin and nobody else is really close.
This Loudoun bench is very frustrated with our center referee. I think he goes over Blackstock right in front. Ryan Martin, his assistants. Look at the bottom of your screen right now. Animated vocal, and they're gonna see a yellow card from our center referee.
Minute here at Segra Field. Yellow card to Ryan Martin. Maybe a bit of the frustration boiling over from the night that has been. And this 3-game stretch for Loudoun. Going into that Indy game. Now 2 games back here at home. This one's chipped in behind from Learman. Laid off now. Is there some life at the end here for Loudoun? Saved by Dick. Bedois almost made it a bit more interesting with 5 minutes of stoppage time on the way.
2 goals and 1 assist on this season. Bedois has a really good feel of where to be through a lot of bodies. That is some save from Eric Dick because he sees it late. Acrobatic to push it wide.
IBEW corner kick. They'll do it again. They've upped it to 6 minutes of stoppage time here, brought to you by Novak. Keeps you humming along. Another IBEW corner kick. High backspin. Learman had it lined up. Forbes getting it away. Playing it through into space. Free run from midfield for Etu. One-on-one with Farouk. Gets a piece of it, and it's out for the corner. Could have slammed the door shut there, Pittsburgh. Gotten it to 3-0. They could take a lot of time off the clock here.
We talked about denied transitional moments, but Tingy is on a yellow card, so he cannot put a challenge in. And sometimes, as an attacking player, when you have this much time and space to make a decision, it's to your detriment. If you pick out a corner, Juju Etu, this game is put to bed. You try to play it centrally. Farouk, good save in the end.
Yellow to Corno Forbes for playing the restart here on this corner. to Blackstock. Trying to take some time now down in the corner. Throw coming for Pittsburgh, and back to this Loudoun stretch here. It's going to be 2 losses in the last 3 games. Home in both of those against Indy and now Pittsburgh. In between a 0-0 draw against Rhode Island. They were the better team against Rhode Island. They were the aggressors against Indy. They were undone by a set piece against Indy. The opening goal against Pittsburgh here, a set piece. Just all frustration here for Loudoun when they were on the brink of their first ever playoff berth, and now that is in serious question. They're going to need to win on the last day against Charleston. North Carolina's going to have to lose, and then you're going to have to go through the tiebreakers.
Just the type of goals that this Loudoun side has conceded needs to be infuriating for Ryan Martin, because you're not getting played off of the park by no stretch of the imagination. It's a set piece, someone loses their individual marker, no one gets the right body position of Edward Kizza, and then as one center back gets pulled out of position, there's no rotation and no coverage from the weak side. Little things like that are the difference between hopefully playing into a playoff match and ending your season a tad bit early.
Yellow shown to Danny Rivera.
Rash challenge from Rivera, and then the extra after it to kick it away. No need. You have to think if Loudoun have any magic here, it's going to start with this set piece as Tommy McCabe stands over it. That back post area and the looping run from one of the center backs can be the play here.
Looped in. Nobody home for Loudoun. I feel like we've said that a lot as far as nobody on the end of things for Loudoun. Part of that is credit to Pittsburgh for their defensive setup on set pieces, but Loudoun has wasted a lot of opportunities here tonight. Another one whipped in, and it's Pittsburgh to the second and third ball, but they give away both of those. 2 minutes to go, up 2 goals. This is in hand for the Riverhounds. The only question is what the official final score will be. For a Loudoun throw, good hustle to preserve that on the back end by Suber. Dambrot. McCabe. Look how tight everybody is, all in that little space. Nagy tried to sneak through. It'll be a corner. Ricky, you had between both teams there maybe 13 players in about a 12-yard radius. That feels like Beehive U8 soccer.
If you are the Riverhounds, that's fine.
That's fine.
But for Loudoun, you need to be a little bit more expansive.
Faru is up. IBEW corner kick. Net is empty at the other end with a minute to play. Faru not going anywhere. That third goal won't matter. Sent in again. Faru trying to jockey for positioning. Settled and blocked by Forbes. Another red 2 coming back, and it's out for another corner.
Let's not forget, Joe, a couple weeks back, Faru had an assist.
He did. That he did.
So he could be a weapon as well for Loudoun United and Ryan Martin.
In the 96th minute, though, of 96. The rare conversation between goalkeepers here.
There you go.
How many times have you seen 2 goalkeepers give each other a high five and not before a penalty shootout? That corner goes by the wayside again for Loudoun. And the whistle goes against the home side on a foul in the box. So this is going to do it here. 6 minutes come and gone. Pittsburgh has come on the road in what was a de facto playoff game. Riverhounds open the evening in 8th. Loudoun in 9th, only separating them the playoff line and a tiebreaker. Both were on 42 points. Pittsburgh will leave on 45, and they will leave with basically 1 foot in the postseason. Not clinched yet, but the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, once left for dead, are on the brink of a playoff berth. 2-0 win on the road over Loudoun.
Mature, experience, deserving. The Riverhounds knew exactly who they were, who they needed to be on both sides of the ball. Box defending was there, and they took their chances with composure and venom, and their massive 3 points for Bob Lilly.
A nice moment between Bob Lilly and Ryan Martin at the end of that one. Two coaches with an immense amount of respect for each other, still having that conversation, holding up the rest of the handshake line. Ryan Martin, not the result he was hoping for in the search of their first ever postseason berth, which once seemed like a near certainty the way things were lining up. It's the road fans here at Seger Field celebrating tonight. And we'll be back in just a moment to wrap things up from Leesburg. Riverhounds take it 2-0.
The season is right around the corner. It's two of the best teams in DC going head-to-head.
Unstoppable. The season is upon us, and tonight, the battle for bragging rights in the district.
It's one of the most exciting times in the year in sports.
Knifing through the middle, gets into the scores.
One team looking to make history.
Full slate of highlights and games on game night later tonight at 11 p.m.
DC News Now, bigger and only getting better.
Join us as we welcome Susan Tran to the DC News Now team.
Decades of journalism experience, a steadfast commitment to community, and an energy we can't wait for.
Susan Tran joins DC News Now, super serving the DMV with Susan Tran at the anchor desk.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on DC News Now.
A 2-0 victory in the end for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds here on the road against Loudoun United. Take you back to the highlights, how it all happened here. And Ricky, in the early going, it was Loudoun with the better of the chances, but Pittsburgh, they didn't need too many opportunities because they have Edward Kizza and they have Berton Jacqueson.
And just look how Arlington stepped into it. This needs to be with his left foot. He gets the wrong foot in. Missed time challenge, and Robbie Mertz always going to put in a quality service. And Edward Kizza, he's been so good in terms of his movement and around that 18-yard box. Plays off the blind side and just a flick-on glance header to get his 11th on the season and to put up the Riverhounds to 1-0 right before halftime.
Goals in 4 straight games, and you won't see Jacqueson get an assist for that one, but he drew the foul. Mertz supplied the assist, his 4th of the season, and in the second half, it was the Riverhounds again capitalizing.
And no one stepped with Black Sox, so now Learman needs to come across. Erlinson is tracked by Edward Kizza, so there's no help whatsoever. But you talked about the dynamic duo playing with one another, playing off of one another. Edward Kizza slashes near post, that opens up the lane into Jacqueson. Quality finish to let it to find that far post. 2 goals for the Riverhounds, 3 points, and playoff hopes are alive and well for Bob Lilly.
Hartford took a lead against Tulsa. That game about to go final, so now it's Hartford climbing from 11th to 9th. You've got Pittsburgh securely in 7th and Loudoun in 10th. Loudoun has to finish at Charleston, Pittsburgh home against El Paso. Do you think Loudoun has a chance? It's not easy, but it's mathematically alive.
Have a chance? Yes. Will they do it? That's where I have a little bit of a question mark.
And Loudoun left this a little bit too late with these last 3 games as well. Losses against Indy and Pittsburgh with a draw in there against Rhode Island in search of their first ever postseason appearance. That might have to wait another year unless they could pull it off next week. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds climb their way out of the hole. They had 15 points from their first 18 games. Well, they have 30 points in their last 15 games, now averaging 2 per game. That was the target for Bob Lilly, and they have stayed on track. Another 2-0 win tonight over Loudoun. And the Riverhounds, not clinched yet, can taste the postseason. For the crew that makes this possible, the broadcast partner Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malva saying so long for now. Plenty more action to come tonight in the USL Championship. Pittsburgh takes this one 2-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.